Story time on how I had a paranormal experience because of my hair. Let me break it down. Story time on how I almost had an affiliation with a ghost because of my hair. I used to make my hair at intervals every 2 weeks, and my mom is a very busy person because she's a businesswoman. My mom is very busy. Though my mom knows how to make hair, but you know, as a child, I would rather than outsider makes my hair than my mom. Why? Because when your mom is making your hair, you cannot play or be all over the place. Just know that you have to stay put. But if she were taking me to a salon, the salon people will even give you things to play with. They'll even allow you to take breaks, and they'll be petting you. I'll be telling you sorry. My mother is not caught up for all that. Madam, sit down, let me make your hair and go back to what I was doing. Yeah, so I preferred making my hair outside. And when my mom used to make my hair, I would cry a lot. I would throw tantrums. Before my mom finishes one hair, she will buy things of like 1K as at the time. So because of this, my mom could not put up with it anymore, and she realized that I actually loved making my hair with hairdressers outside. Fast forward to when we finally found a hairdresser for me. She was my church member at the time. So her name was Auntie Mercy. Auntie Mercy was our church member, and she had 2 kids. Let's call the kids Philip and Blessing. Let's call them Philip and Blessing. So Philip and Blessing, I loved making my hair with Auntie Mercy because I could play with her kids. Like, Auntie Mercy will finish my hair. Let's say I went there by 7, and Mercy will be done with my hair, let's say 8, and she will let me play with her kids till like 11 before she took me back to my mother. And that was because she understood that my mom didn't used to let me go out to play. I wasn't that child. Like, I wasn't that child that played or watched TV. It was just about school. You come back from school, you're attending extra lessons. If you're not attending extra lessons, you're finding new words in the dictionary. Like, I was raised in a proper educational home, if you get what I mean. Yeah, I just continued till when I could finally like start going to Auntie Mercy's house by myself. Remember, before, my mom either had to take me to Auntie Mercy's place, or Auntie Mercy had to come pick me from our house or my mom's shop. So I think I was 7 at the time, and now Auntie Mercy's shop wasn't far from my mom's shop, and Auntie Mercy also lived in her shop. So I think when I was 7 now, my mom would let me just stroll, because that was the only avenue I had to like be without my mother. Yeah, my mom would let me like take a stroll to Auntie Mercy's place, and she'd be like, oh yeah, take your thread, because I used to make thread growing up as a child. I had very long hair, and my mom felt like it was a protective hairstyle for a child. So my mom would say, oh yeah, take your thread, take your hair cream, take your comb, go and tell Auntie Mercy I said she should make your hair and she should send you back once she's done. So this was the routine, and it was something I used to look forward to. One Saturday, I think that particular day was like a sanitation and the restricted movement. So my mom didn't go out to her shop early, but my mom had already like washed my hair and dried it, knowing that once the sanitation was over with, she was going to ask me to go to make my hair at Auntie Mercy's place. So my mom was washing, doing sanitation, basically cleaning the house. And my mom sent me to go buy bread. I can never forget. If you stayed in Lagos in the 2000s, this bread I'm about to mention, you are going to know it's Quincy bread. My mom sent me to go and buy Quincy bread, and it was just like a stone throw from our house. The woman that sold Quincy's bread, we used to call her Auntie Yawo. Like, for kids, we used to call her Auntie Yawo, but for adults, we call her Yawo. And she was from Kogi State, and she liked me a lot. So my mom like gave me money. I was like, okay, take this money to Yawo's place. Still had to give you Quincy bread, and my mom mentioned other things I needed to buy, like the beverages I needed to buy, and I was well on my way to go buy these things. So tell me why on getting to Yawo's place, it was a Saturday, many people were at home because it was sanitation. So Yawo's shop was like unusually rowdy. She was attending to so many people at the same time, you know. And if you are like her regular customer that she trusts, she'll just tell you, okay, just take what you want and give me the money, that kind of stuff. So it was like very busy, a typical busy Saturday morning in Lagos. So guys, I got to Yawo's place, and as a child I had to stand for a while until she was like, oh, what do you want? And I'm like, oh, my mommy say you should give me Quincy bread. I listed everything I wanted, and Yawo was attending to me. So while Yawo was attending to me, I saw Auntie Mercy that makes my hair, and it looks like Auntie Mercy was coming from Okota, like she had passed the canal. Like I said, if you stayed in Lagos in the 2000s, you would know what I'm talking about. Now, this canal linked Okota from Okota to St. Monica, and once you use that canal area, yeah, you'd bust out in Ilasa. So Auntie Mercy was coming from there, and she saw me and she was like, Happiness, tell your mother that she should. I didn't tell you guys backstory. I'm also known as Happiness. Like, my name too is also Happiness. I'm sorry guys, I have a cough, but this story must be told. So she was like, tell your mom I said that she should bring you on time today. I have lots of customers. And mind you, Auntie Mercy was like a very, very popular hairdresser in Ilasa at the time, that if you don't go to her place on time, you probably miss the slots to make your hair. So I mean, now I already told you guys, remember in the beginning of the story I told you guys I don't like my mother to make my hair because I cannot do as I like. Sorry guys. So Auntie Mercy tells me this. I'm like, okay, Auntie Mercy, immediately Iyawo gave me all the things I bought and gave me change. I just collected it. As a child now, I was just running. So I ran past my mom from the front of the house. I entered inside, dropped the beverages, the bread, everything. I dropped it. I picked my thread, I picked my hair cream and money to pay Auntie Mercy. Auntie Mercy used to get 20 naira to make my hair at the time. So that's why I say if you were in the 2000s, I'm an OG. So I picked it and I dashed out of the house. Like, I'd already ran past my mom when my mom started calling me, Angel, come back here, come back here, come back here. Another one, my mommy calls me Angel. So if I say Angel, don't worry or wonder who is Angel again. This girl is confusing me. I'm sorry. That's why I say this is one of like chaotic story times you come across. So my mom calls me and my mom is trying to storm me. She calls me back and she's like, where are you going to? I'm like, I'm going to Auntie Mercy's place. Auntie Mercy just called me now that I should go and bring my things and come and make my hair. If I don't come now, that people are very plenty, that kind of thing. My mom said, Auntie Mercy. I said yes. My mother said, Auntie Mercy told you to come. I said yes. My mother told me, come and go and show me. I was like, in my head, I'm like, yo, ma'am, this is not how we do it. Do you understand? Because this is our routine. But anywho, I was like, okay, this was at Iyawo's place when I was standing to buy something. My mom took me to Iyawo's place, like walked down to Iyawo's shop. On getting there, my mom asked Iyawo, please, did you see my daughter talking to anybody? Iyawo was like, people were very plenty in my shop. I didn't look. I don't know. Is there anything a problem? My mother said no. My mother asked people around, please, did you see this child talking to anybody? They were like, no. They didn't pay attention, that kind of stuff. Okay, obviously this video is a wrap, so guys, catch me in part 2.
As many of you know, I grew up in deep Appalachia. I now live in Atlanta, Georgia, and there are times where I'll tell my friends stories from what happened to me when I lived out there, and they're like, what? I already posted about my UFO story last year, and that video got to like 3 million views. But today, I'm going to tell you guys the story of when I was a kid and I encountered a skinwalker, or at least what I thought was a skinwalker. I hate long intros, so I'm just going to get into the story. The place I lived was a place called Jasper, Georgia. It's right next to LJ, and I lived in the place where the show Squidbillies was based on, and we have a Squidbillies shrine in our town center. I had a friend that I would stay with pretty often, and her family owned a 300-acre farm. And when I say family, it's just her and her mom who live there. And so they have like all these farm animals, and they have different parts of their land that you have to walk through trails in the woods to get through. Like, in order to get to one barn, you have to walk through the woods for like 10 minutes just to get there. So there was one day that I was sleeping over there, and we had been home alone all day. I was probably in 3rd grade when this happened. Some of you might ask why me and my friend were just like 2 3rd graders alone on this farm. And it was because my parents were getting a divorce, and so I needed a place to go, so I pretty much lived with this girl at the time. But back to the story. So my friend's mom was on the way home, but I guess there was like a lot of traffic, or she was running late or something. So she called my friend and she asked her if we could like go down to one of the barns and feed the horses before we went to bed. So at this point in time, it was probably like 8 o'clock. The sun was going down. It was about to be nighttime. You could still see the sun and the light when you're in the open field, but in the woods, it was like pretty dark. Like there was no sunlight. So my friend and I started walking. through the pasture to the woods, and she had a flashlight with her. We got to the woods, she turned the flashlight on, and we started walking. We were walking for maybe like 3 or 4 minutes through these woods, so we're about halfway through the trail, and we're just talking about some shit and laughing. And then all of a sudden, my friend just stops talking, and like I was kind of just like looking at her, like as we were speaking. I wasn't really looking in front of me. And then she just like drops the flashlight and starts sprinting in the opposite direction, like back to the house. And so I was like, "You okay, Rebecca?" And because that was her name. And I turn and I see her sprinting, and the flashlight was just like on the floor in front of me. And I was like, "What the fuck?" So I turned back in front of me, and I just see like maybe like 10 feet away this gigantic like white figure. And I didn't look at it for long, but just like the sheer height of this thing, whatever the fuck it was, scared me so badly that I looked at it and immediately was like fight or flight mode. Like I felt danger. So right when I looked at it, I turned the other way and fucking booked it. I was running faster than I'd ever ran before. So fast that I passed my friend, and I was like running and pissing my pants at the same time. Like that's how fucking scary it was. And so I ran all the way back to her house, and in my brain I was like, what is the one place I can hide right now where no one will find me? And the only thing I could think of was like I just ran to the laundry room and I got in the dryer. And so I was just sitting in the dryer, and it was like one of those old school dryers. It wasn't like plastic clear cover, so it was just like a white door that closes it from the front. And so I was just in there. I was like curled up in a ball, and I waited like, I don't know, what seemed like 15-20 minutes. I was just in there covered in piss, and eventually I thought that whatever the fuck was in the woods had like killed my friend. And so I was just crying and like I was freaking out, but I was also terrified and didn't want to die. So I was just sitting in there. And then eventually my friend walks through the door, and I can tell that she's crying and she's like hyperventilating. She's like like I hear that. And so I open the dryer, and she's like scared when I open it, obviously. And I was just like also crying, and we hug each other, and I was like, "Where did you go?" And so she told me that she had ran and she got into like this trailer that was kind of near the house, because it was the only place she could think of to hide. And so we were both hiding, and I guess she just like mustered up the courage to run to the main house. And so we were both just like trying to explain what we saw and like put together whatever the fuck that was. And this was like 2008, maybe 2009. So I think I was like 12 or something when this happened, but this was way before like creepypasta or like any of these stories were like even around. So we couldn't even put a name to like what the fuck we saw out there. And so when her mom finally got home, we tried to explain what just happened, and she just like dismissed us, and she was like, "You girls are just like overreacting. You guys saw a bear or like a deer or something," which is still terrifying if we saw a bear, but it definitely was not a bear, because this thing was like pure white. And in the dark, it's like the only thing you can really see is like, if there's someone standing in front of you with a white t-shirt, like you're gonna see that. But this thing was completely white, and that's all I remember is just like this gigantic, like 7 or 8 foot tall thing just like standing right in front of me, staring at me. And so I'm not friends with this girl anymore. I haven't talked to her in probably like 15 years. But I just remember that story, and I remember being so scared that I pissed myself. And the only thing I could think of that being is like a skinwalker. So maybe that is a skinwalker. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that story. I've never told that on here, so I hope you guys were entertained and enjoyed it, and maybe got scared. But anyways, later this week I'm gonna post another story about the Appalachian feral people, because I think I also had an experience with that when I was younger. There was a lot of weird shit that happened. But yeah, thank you guys.
Can we show them the older homestead?
Okay, yeah, let's go. As you know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Was that you?
Yeah, that's on either side.
They went to both.
Yeah.
My bad, slight intervenence. But I was wearing a Nike Tech with jeans. Yeah, you get it. Like, cool. Nike Tech hoodie with jeans, and it wasn't even. It was a. This was like the first gen Nike Tech with the strings. Like, yeah, I was wearing that, and then I had a Mohican thing going on with my head top. My hair was dyed. I was going through a phase, man. I won't lie, bro. I was going through a phase. I don't know what was going on there, but I feel like just the air, the atmosphere was getting to me because I was just trying loads of different stuff whilst I was there. You know what I'm saying? That I shouldn't be doing, but I just did it because I was just like, fuck it, man. Sea breezy type beat. You know what I'm saying? Cool. Now we've like, but we're on our way. Like, you know what I'm saying? We're driving. We're on our way. We're on our way. The car that we came in. Bear in mind, I said you need to have a Hyundai, or you need to have like an actual like 4x4 to drive to these terrains. We didn't have that. We had an S-Class Merc, bro. That's what we had. Salom S-Class Merc. Get it? You know what I'm saying? This is like, we're talking 2014 plate. You know what I'm saying? We're driving them sides with that sort of car. You should already know the trip was already bookie. Going there was cool because we're on the mains, innit? The mains, we've got proper roads in the red tear. We're driving M-way trips, M25, like kind of excursions, those terrains there. That's the terrains we're driving on. When we now get to the jobbly bubbly part, yeah, where it starts moving a bit wobbly, yeah, that's where it gets a little bit spondooli for us, man, bro. That's where man them are starting to see, yo, this trip here, yeah, is a little bit spontaneous still, car. We should not be driving in this sort of car. But it was too late. So what was swerving around potholes and that, but it was smooth. Either way, it was still smooth. We still got to the destination clean, smooth. No injuries, no intervenants, no bookiness has started yet. It's now, when we've arrived there, I don't know how time just shifts that quick. But I promise you, we got there, and 5 minutes later, it got dark. I don't understand how it got that dark that quick, but it just got pitch black dark. It went from sun to dark. There was no mid-range. You know when there's that little mid-range where you can see the sun is settling? Nah, fam. It was a straight dark. You know what I'm saying? So, we're hearing rumors, yeah, from some of the artists, yo, you gotta stay away from this one here. You gotta stay away from that one here. Because, yo, just stay away from these people here, because them man are kind of booky, sly, like, you know, just be careful here. Don't take no sweets from auntie over there, because she's sly booky.
I saw the Hat Man with my own 2 eyes. Before I begin, make sure to follow my other socials here and subscribe to my YouTube channel because I'm going to be posting story times there. So if you're unfamiliar with the Hat Man and his lore, he's basically a tall, skinny figure that's been around since, honestly, forever. So he looks something like this, and he has very little to no features, since he's mainly seen in the dark. He's almost like a shadow. He also appears if you have sleep paralysis or if you took like a large dose of Benadryl. Now, some have claimed that the Hat Man will appear and then disappear throughout the night, and apparently sometimes he will attack if you've seen him a total of 3 times. It's crazy though, because my encounter with the Hat Man happened a few years ago when I got the stomach bug. So I became really sick, I was bedridden, like I literally could not move because of the pain that was happening down here. Now, disclaimer, if you warm up your food and parts of it is still cold, do not eat it because you will get sick just like me. Anyways, on the first night of me having the stomach bug, I was quite literally dead. Like, my mom had to stay home from work to take care of me. Throughout the day, I was taking so much medicine, which honestly didn't help at all because I just kept throwing it up. And because I kept throwing up and throwing up and throwing up, everything that I consumed, I just became so weak, to the point where it was hard to walk even just like a few steps. Fast forward, it's night, and I decided to sleep on the couch rather than in my room because it's closer to the bathroom. So, you know, I wouldn't have to walk so far, and if I needed to throw up, I could just go right there. So keep this in mind, before everyone went to sleep, my mom gave me my last dosage of medicine, which happened to be Benadryl. And since my mom was giving it to me, you know, I literally just opened up my mouth and she would spoon it down my throat. But honestly, I think she ended up giving me a large dosage on accident. Fast forward again, it's around 1 a.m. in the morning and I'm awoken to my stomach killing me. I just remember having to get up from the couch and just sitting there for a bit because of how much pain I was in. So keep in mind, at this point, all the lights are off. The only light that I can see right now is the digital clock that's on the bottom of my TV. So I can see just like a little bit of what's in front of me. I kid y'all not, I rubbed my eyes for 1 second. Just like this, I open them back up. I see a tall figure standing there at the hallway. So I couldn't figure out if it was looking at me or if it had its back turned, but all I remember is that I got instant chills, like just chills running down my body. I also remember that it started to slowly walk into the kitchen. So at this point, I'm confused, but I'm not really afraid because I knew that as nighttime comes, sometimes my family members, they get up and they go to the kitchen, you know, to get like a late night snack. Or, you know, they come downstairs to use the bathroom. So honestly, I just assumed that it was my brother. So right after I watched this figure, you know, walk into the bathroom, I instantly get this feeling that I need to throw up. So I get up and I hurry to the bathroom. So while I was in the bathroom doing whatever, I remember I kept hearing things happening outside of the door. Like there was just so much unusual movement coming from outside of the bathroom. After I was done, not gonna lie, I opened the door and I got jump scared by my dad. He was standing there, he was asking me if I was okay, yada yada yada. So I ended up telling him that I was fine, and I did ask him if he was standing in the hallway like a while ago. So he ended up telling me that it wasn't him. Like he was not downstairs, and I was just like, oh, okay, then who was there just a while ago? So after I watched my dad go upstairs and I turned off the bathroom light, and once again, it's pitch black. So here's where it just got really weird. So after I turned off the light and it's pitch black, I walked back to the couch and I got this like sudden urge to look up my staircase where my dad was just at, where he just like walked up. And guys, keep in mind, I know my parents' footsteps. Like I literally heard my dad upstairs walking to his bedroom. Tell me why I'm looking up my staircase and I see a tall figure just standing there at the top. Mind you, I literally just heard my dad walk to his bedroom. So how could he walk to his bedroom, then back to the top of the staircase? That can't happen. So I remember the figure was just standing there, and at this point I'm laughing to myself because I'm like, okay, is my dad trying to play a prank on me? Because if so, it's just not working. But as I look closer, this figure was skinny and tall. And how my house is set up, where the staircase is at the top, there's a window, and that window, there's a light like facing it, kind of, the street light. So I can like, when the street light is on, you can like see stuff kind of shining through. And I could see that this figure had on a small top hat. I remember in this moment, it felt really hard to breathe, and I got the same chills again, and I wanted to hurry back to the couch. So as I'm laying down on the couch, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, am I tripping? But at the same time, I'm like, no, I'm not tripping because I literally saw this figure twice. But at this point, I'm thinking to myself, okay, the house is haunted with a ghost. So I remember I took my phone out and I looked up tall, skinny figure with hat. And the first thing that came up was the Hat Man. So as I'm on my phone, I'm doing some more research, and that's when I discovered that people have said that if you see him 3 times, he will attack. Now, mind you guys, I just saw him for the 2nd time. So at this point, I'm filled with fear. I'm petrified because I don't want to get attacked. No. I remember I immediately shut my phone off and I turned my body to face the couch because maybe if I'm looking at the couch, it will stop my chances from seeing this Hat Man ever again. And I was so wrong because as soon as I turned my body, I felt the same chills again. So at this point, I knew that the Hat Man was standing right there. Honestly, probably hovering above me. As scared and as sick as I was, I remember I went into survival mode. I remember thinking to myself that the only way to get rid of this thing is by waking everyone in the house up. So in this moment, I decided to forcefully push my weak self off the couch in hopes that if I fall, I'll make a thump noise, and if I scream, someone will hear and they'll wake up and everyone will come downstairs. Unfortunately, my screaming didn't even work because it didn't even sound like a scream. It was just me going, Because mind you, I'm sick, and pushing myself off the couch just made my body hurt even more. But luckily, I do remember hearing someone rush downstairs, which happened to be my dad. Long story short, my dad decided to sleep downstairs with the TV on with me, and I never saw the Hat Man again. My plan ended up working in the end, but I personally wonder what would have happened if I didn't push myself off this couch and make noise? What would have happened if I turned around to see the Hat Man staring at me for the 3rd time? I would have gotten attacked. Because as sick as I was, if he attacked me, I would have been over. It would have been over for me.
The creepiest thing happened to us last night, and I need y'all's opinion. My husband had planned a date night last night, and I called him letting him know that I was on my way home to drop off some stuff, and then I will be on my way to go pick up the kids. He said okay, but he said that he had noticed a very large nail in one of our tires. He said he would be driving to Walmart to buy a plug to plug the tire, and then he'd come home. My mom had taken my kids to a birthday party, so I was on my way to the party to pick up my kids. And while I'm there, my husband tells me that on his way to Walmart, he somehow got a razor blade stuck on the same tire where he had already gotten a nail in. He literally said, "It's okay. I'm gonna change the tire to the spare tire. We're not gonna let this ruin our night. Everything's fine. We're still gonna go out tonight." I was like, okay. My mother-in-law was gonna watch the kids for us, and I was on my way to her house. And as I'm getting my son down, he is burning up in a fever. I was at this birthday party for a while, and he was literally fine. He was playing, he was eating, he was perfectly fine. But now that I was ready to drop them off for about an hour, hour and a half to 2 hours, he was burning up in fever. So I called my husband and I'm like, hey, we're not going nowhere tonight. Something is weird. Our son has a fever. We're not going nowhere. I get home last night and sure enough, he has a fever. This was his temperature last night, and this is the tire in question. Right there is the nail that my husband first got, and that right there is the razor blade. How did this happen? So what was going on? Was there something, someone, was it the universe, something trying to prevent us from going somewhere? Because first it's the nail, then the razor blade. My husband was adamant. He's like, it's okay. Nothing's gonna ruin our night. I'll change the tire. Everything's fine. And if you know me, you know that if my children are sick, I'm stopping the world. I'm calling in. I'm not going nowhere. I need to tend to my children. And lo and behold, my son gets a fever out of nowhere. What do you guys think? Do you think this is a coincidence? You think the universe or something was trying to get us not to go anywhere? Let me know what y'all think.
What the fuck was that? Bro!
What's going on around you?
I don't know. I'm frozen. I am frozen.
Did the window
Sean.
break?
This is a terrifying ghost story. If you're new here, hi. I usually talk about some pretty scary stuff, and I actually have an email associated with this account where anyone who finds this page can send me their ghost stories. And let me tell you, these are genuinely terrifying, and this is one of them. So let's get into it. This story comes from Sam, who says that this is not the most interesting ghost story, but I beg to differ. And Sam, on this particular night, was laying in bed and had woken up in the middle of the night. He says it was around 2 a.m. It wasn't out of the ordinary for her in particular because she says that she was scared of everything as a little girl, and I feel like that's not super uncommon for children, period, to be scared of the dark. She goes ahead and gets up and goes to her parents' room because she cannot fall back asleep. And for context purposes, I will be going over the layout of her family's room. The way that this room was set up was the bed, from my understanding, was on the far back wall, facing the door that Sam had just come into. And it's important to note that Sam's parents actually slept with the door open at night in case anything were to happen. So she crawls into bed and she's just looking out of this doorway. She cannot fall back asleep. And right as she's dozing off, she sees this tall, thin woman with pin straight hair walk down the steps and onto the first floor. At this point, Sam is frozen in fear and is wondering, who is that? Because everyone in her family who had longer hair either had shoulder-length hair or very, very, very curly hair. Not this long, pin-straight hair that she had just seen on this woman. After this woman had reached the first floor, Sam says that there was just this loud bang that came up and she has no idea how to describe it. She has no idea what it was. It wasn't the cabinets closing. It wasn't a door slamming. It wasn't her jumping off of something. It's just this unknown loud bang. And what is also important to note is this was not a trick of her eyes. This was not somebody that she was seeing in the complete darkness. This woman had walked by the nightlight that they had in their hallway. So Sam was 100% sure that this was a real person. And at the end of her email, she is trying to rationalize, and she has been saying for years that she just doesn't know if it's the trick of the mind, her imagination. She doesn't know what it was, but she knows for certain that she was not dreaming. I'll be honest, I just saw the movie Weapons, and there's a scene in the movie that reminds me of this particular story. If you know, you know. And if you don't, you should go see it. But anyways, that's gonna do it for me. Stay tuned for more ghost stories.
Here are 3 real ways to survive encountering the Pale Lady. According to legend, the Pale Lady is a malicious spirit, known for her snow-white skin and grotesque gelatinous body. The first thing you'll need to do, in order to avoid having a run-in with this entity, is to simply follow the instructions that she gives you in your dreams. The Pale Lady has been known to visit her victims in their dreams in order to warn them of their impending doom. If you pay attention to that warning and follow the instructions that she gives you, you can easily secure your own safety. Secondly, if you come across a location in real life that resembles the place where the Pale Lady visited you in your dreams, run. If you don't run or don't recognize the location quickly enough, she will come for you. And finally, if you do encounter her, don't try to fight or reason with the Pale Lady. Weapons pass right through her, and words do not affect her, so your best bet is to try and flee. Tag a friend if you're watching this alone, and follow for more.